converts it into a depository for potatoes and other vegetables. And to the traveler, it serves as a knapsack.
Look, 66 Broadway. Room for rent.
A boarding house.
1831. Now, let me see. I was in New York City at the time. My husband had gone to his long reward. He used to work as a speculator, trading in commodities, you know. You can make a lot of money that way. He didn't, but he sure tried hard. A fine man. I guess that's what killed him. So I opened a refined boarding house for ladies and gentlemen of standing and position, number 66 Broadway, just down the street from the American Hotel. These two French gentlemen came in off the steamship President, and I never saw two fellas look more tired. They just rolled into their beds in the middle of the afternoon, and I guess they must have slept clean through until 8 o'clock next morning, when I told Kitty to ring for breakfast. All right, Kitty. All the cold meats are on, and the lobster will be ready in a moment. Might as well let them have the gong soon as it's 8 o'clock.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, Kitty, let them have it. Morning, Mr. Griggs.
Morning, ma'am.
Do any studying last night?
I reckon I did. I've just about proved that the Babylon of the Apocalypse refers to the Scarlet City of London, England.
Mr. Griggs from Kentucky. Very keen Bible student, though just a piece biased about proving England's downfall. Good morning, Marquis.
Good morning, madame.
I hope you passed a good night, Marquis.
The wrongs of my unhappy country.
Get the bagwig and the ruffles. That gentleman's a real French Marquis. That's the way they call it. I believe right now the Marquis is teaching dancing to young ladies of refinement and... Morning, Major General.
Morning, ma'am.
You look fit as a fiddle this fine morning, sir.
An old soldier usually comes out pretty fit, ma'am.
The Major General's from Vermont. A regular walking encyclopedia about the war, if you ask me. Morning, Mr. O'Brien.
Oh, morning, ma'am.
One moment, Mr. O'Brien. I wondered if we might have something on account on that little bill.
Well, I tell you, ma'am, I've got a job this morning at the Hudson River docks checking consignments. And whatever I get, you can have half of it. No, you can't say fairer than that.
I'd rather have the whole of it. But you can't say too much to the poor fella with his ribs all sticking out. He has to stand up twice to cast a shadow. A lot of Irish gentlemen are over here to live cheap, even though it cost them a year's wages to get here. Morning, Mr. Beasley.
Morning, ma'am.
Any luck yesterday?
I thought I saw one of them over near the courthouse, but he'd give me the slip.
Well, I hope and trust you have better luck today. Mr. Beasley is from the Carolinas, indigo planter. He's up here on business and keeping his eye open for half a dozen of his slaves that ran away. He's heard tell they're in New York City at present. I hope he can make those slaves realize that every time they run away, they deprive a gentleman of his lawful property. Morning, gentlemen.
Morning, madame.
Good morning.
Now, let me see. Which of you gentlemen is which?
I am Mr. de Tocqueville, and this is Mr. de Beaumont.
Mr. Tocqueville's the little one. Mr. Beaumont's the big one. Well, I hope I can remember that. And you gentlemen are from France?
That is perfectly correct.
Well, you can't start the day on an empty stomach. And you will if you don't step lively. Why, it must be 8:05 if it's a minute. The gong here goes at 8 o'clock, you know, and I wouldn't answer for there being many victuals on the board by 1:15.
Then we had better hurry.
Sit wherever you like. If there's any left, there's fish, ham, beef, 4 fowls, eggs, pigeons, pumpkin pies, lobsters, vegetables, tea, coffee, cider, sangria, and cherry brandy.
Oh, we can sit here.
Yes. Beef?
Thank you. Potatoes?
Thank you. Cabbage?
No thanks. Coffee?
Oh, not at this time in the morning. I'll have brandy.
Beaumont, look at the ladies.
It is also too early in the morning to look at ladies.
No, I'm serious. You notice they are completely dressed for the day. Everything complete and finished. And here it is only breakfast.
At this rate, the lady would be ready to receive visitors at 9 o'clock in the morning.
Things will be very different here in America. See how fast you must eat. This food is melting away before our eyes. More beef?
Thank you. More potatoes?
Thank you.
Oh, some of them are leaving already. Certainly there seems to be very little formality in a democracy.
Then you and I shall gobble our breakfast as though we were Americans and hurry out to see the marvels of New York. Let me see. Where are we?
This is the Bowery.
And this is Bayard Street. Now, look at that hotel.
The North American Hotel. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 floors. And an exchange table.
Never mind that. Look at the roof. What I want you to notice
But I
is...
do mind it. I want to notice everything and make a note.
Look on the roof beside where the American flag is flying. There is a wooden statue of a poor boy with ragged knees and elbows.
Oh.
Now, why should the management put such a thing on their roof? Surely there must be some instructive story connected with it.
Yes, sir, there surely is. And
pardon.
you'll find it's a tale of American industry, American opportunity, and American courage.
Are those things abundant here?
Sir, those virtues and many others besides are always found in America and never found in other countries. Now, sir, 38 years ago, a poor boy came to this town, a poor Yankee boy, named David Reynolds. He was 12 or 14 years of age at the time, without a crust of bread to feed him, without a copper in his pocket. Weary and hungry, he leaned against a fine elm tree, since cut down, made into lumber, and sold at a good price. That elm tree stood where the North American Hotel now stands. While young David Reynolds was leaning against it, luxuriating, you might say, in his beautiful shade, he racked his little brains to try and devise some means of procuring for the sustenance of his childish needs a livelihood that should be both honest and honorable. While he was thus reflecting how to get his dinner, a gentleman came up to him.
Name?
I beg your pardon, sir.
I wondered if you knew this gentleman's name.
This gentleman's name, sir, has not been handed down to posterity. May I proceed?
Pray do.
Thank you, sir. The gentleman, whose name has not been transmitted to us, approached this poor friendless boy and asked if he were willing to carry the gentleman's trunk down to the wharf. The boy eagerly consented and received for his labors the sum of 25 cents. Now, what do you suppose he did with it?
Spent it on food.
Perhaps he reserved some to pay for his night's lodging. Or was he prepared to sleep in the street?
He was prepared to do anything, sir, providing it was honest. I'll tell you what he did. He did an American thing. With a little of the money, he bought food. And with the rest of it, he bought fruit, which he offered for sale beneath that same elm tree. American initiative, sir, grasping the opportunity. He soon disposed of his little stock to advantage and spent that night richer than he had ever been before. On the morrow, he repeated the transaction. Soon, he had a fruit stall under the tree, then a small shop, then several houses on either side. Finally, he acquired such an estate that he pulled it all down and built this magnificent hotel. On this plaque, which he caused to be erected, he has set out his own story. And you will perceive it concludes with these words. The tree was cut down, but from its beloved trunk he caused his image to be carved. That's it up there. As a memento of his own forlorn beginnings and his grateful recollections. From a penniless, ragged boy, David Reynolds rose to be one of the most prosperous citizens in his community and the owner of the finest hotel in New York City. And possibly the world. That, sir, is an American story. And I myself am David Reynolds at your service.
Sir, I'm enchanted to make your acquaintance.
Delighted. But tell me this. Do not your fellow citizens hold against you in some way these humble origins of yours?
They do not, sir. Most emphatically not. I am a man of property and position. And in New York, that speaks for itself. Oh, I trust, by the way, gentlemen, that you are yourselves not in need of lodgings, because if you are...
No, thank you, sir. We are already accommodated. And in any case, we must very shortly leave the city. We hear New York is not America, and we want to see all the country.
You should see it all. The finest country in the world. Ask any American, and he'll tell you, where could I be better off? Goodbye, gentlemen. And remember that little American story.
I think he is right. That is an American story. A poor boy rising to be a large property owner, enjoying the respect of his community.
But chiefly because of his money.
Perhaps it is the symbol of position, as blood is with us.
This is indeed a new world.
And one to which we had better become accustomed. I am going to find out about this place, Beaumont, because I think in this country we can perceive something of the future of our own.
Democracy?
Yes. America is only my setting. Democracy is my subject. It appears to me, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that sooner or later we shall arrive, like the Americans, at an almost complete equality of condition. But first, we must collect the facts. We must dissect American society and search out the elements of which it is composed. We must ask useful questions. The smallest conversations will be instructive. There is not a man, on whatever rung of society he finds himself, who cannot teach me something.
You have just heard, Where Could I Be Better Off? A study in Jacksonian America. Item 1 in a series based on Alexis de Tocqueville's Democracy in America. This series, presented by the National Broadcasting Company, was prepared by the Division of General Education of New York University under the direction of George Probst, American historian. Produced in the studios of the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation by Andrew Allen, script by Lister Sinclair, music by Lucio Agostini. This series, Democracy in America, is made possible by a grant from the Fund for Adult Education as part of a general course of study of the nature of American society. For information about the use of these de Tocqueville dramatizations for study or discussion and how to secure these new materials about American democracy at a reasonable charge, write to the American Foundation for Continuing Education, Post Office Box 749, Chicago 90, Illinois. Now, this is Ben Grauer inviting you to join us next week for Item 2, The Governor in the Boarding House, on Democracy in America.
Wherever you travel in the USA, stay well informed. Tune to Radio NBC.